Let's get started. This is Figuring Shit Out, episode 111. It's the
Yeah.
111. Triple ones, angel numbers. So this is gonna be a good one. Bunny Flocks, I'm in the building. You already know what it is. I gotta plug the
Where
book.
the book at? Where the book at?
I got it right here. Boom. First time author, an elusive perspective, an introduction to waking the fuck up. Go get that. It's on Amazon,
Sure.
Barnes and Noble, and then my website, Elusive Perspective, Elusive, perspective.com. We
Mhm.
got King Arthur in the building. What's going on with
What's up,
it?
man? You know what time it is, man. Unify and thrive. If you didn't know, if you never heard it before, that's the time we got to be on. It's getting spooky outside, man. The springtime coming. Springtime here. Summer coming. Fall coming. I got my mask going outside.
Hmm.
Frank, know what time it is, man. Bring us in.
Yeah. So we got a good one today. Like I said, this is episode 111. We got Johnny Stewart with us. He is the CEO and the lead tech of Stu Tech Incorporated. We're going
Hmm.
to talk technology. We're going to talk STEM tech, AI. We're going to talk what he's got going on in Norfolk and Hampton Roads area.
Okay.
And all three of us are techies. So this is
Yes,
going to be
sir.
a super dope conversation. If you're a tech person or you're
Put
looking
your
to
hand
get
up.
into tech
Yeah.
or you're just interested in this type of stuff, lock
Hmm.
in because it's going to be dope. Again, episode 111. John Stewart, what's going on? How you doing, bro? What's
Man, I'm
up?
good. I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you guys having me. Long time listener, big time fan,
That's right.
and want to share my story and what we're doing at StewTech.
Hmm.
Cool, cool. So the first question we ask every guest is, what was your figuring shit out moment? This is any time in your life you had an epiphany, the skies opened up, sunshine came down, you just learned some shit or you started moving differently in the world. Do you have a moment that changed your life where you figured some shit out?
Oof, yeah, I mean, I think when I was working my 9 to 5, uh, and everything was it was during COVID, and the stress was at an all-time high. Uh,
Hmm.
Going through the separation between my son's mom and that whole thing was coming all at the same time. My boss was breathing down my throat, and the paycheck wasn't hitting like that.
You got hit with all the trifecta,
Man,
everything at the
hey,
same time.
it was crazy. So, I was making good money, but after all the garnishments, the
Life.
school loans, student loans, and life, I was like, man, I gotta do, what my heart is telling me to do. And I've always been that kind of person who likes to, investigate things, take stuff apart, see how it works, and just
Hmm.
think a little bit differently than, most people. So I've always noticed that, being an engineer, I've been an engineer for about 15 years, mechanical engineer. Um, a lot of engineers are, very calculated in their decisions and they're risk averse, and I'm a little bit
Right.
different than that. I'm kind of the opposite. I'm willing to take that risk. I'm willing to make sacrifices, and that's kind of how I ended up with Stu Tech and making some big changes. So yeah, that was my figuring shit out moment. Yeah.
That's dope. And it's crazy how that happens, right? It's like you get hit with so many things at one time.
Hmm.
It'll be like, okay, it'll be a major thing. Then you'll be like, all right, I could deal with this. Let me take care of this. Boom, you get hit with something else. Boom, you get hit with something else. And it all comes around the same fucking moment.
Oh
Hmm.
Like
man.
I just had one this past several months. I'm not gonna get into it. Crazy things.
Man.
But it's like you push through, you life
Yeah.
happens, and then you see the
Mhm.
light, what I'm saying, on the other side. So that's
And
super
that
dope and that's important.
you're
Yeah.
you're right about that. Being able to push through, and like, I think being successful is how you're able to overcome those hardships. Because everyone's going to have hardships, once in a while, but being able to overcome them and surpass them and just get better, man. That's how you grow and figure shit
Fact,
out.
fact,
Absolutely.
fact.
That's right.
Backs against the wall.
Uh, take it back for a second, because like you said, you was an engineer for 15 years. That's not the most common thing to do, right? It's kind of being a little bit more popularized now, with tech being the way it is, right? So, how'd you get into engineering? What made you go tinker with stuff?
Yeah, so I mean that started at an early age. I remember. I don't know if you ever remember the game Pencil Break, right?
Okay.
Back in middle school, you had the pencil, and
Uh,
you had two friends and kind of break that pencil.
yeah.
And I
Oh, we
remember
we did it with something. Yeah, we did it with spoons.
you
Okay.
do
Yeah,
okay,
okay.
okay, yeah. And back in Texas, we had we did with the wooden pencils, pop them, and I was like, yo, I talked to my friends like, let me devise a way to make an indestructible pencil. You know what I'm saying? And so I was over there like tinkering, trying to
You trying to win.
replace the lid
Man.
with like yeah, it was like a little steel pipe inside of it, and it just kind of blossomed from there. It's just always been ingrained on take my mom used to get mad at me all the time, taking her toasters
Mm.
apart, stuff like that. So and I remember uh, during career day, they had some people come in and talk about what they were doing. And my dad's a cop, you know what I'm saying? He was a Houston PD, whatever. So I was like, I'm gonna either be a cop, ATF, whatever.
Hmm.
And he's like, bro, he's like, cops don't make no money. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be no cop.
Right. High
If
risk,
you
low
want to do
pay.
something, become like an FBI field agent, CIA, ATF. And he's like, but don't get a criminal justice degree because they could teach anybody how to shoot a gun, but they want our specialized majors. So
Hmm.
my original plan was to become an engineer and then go into the FBI.
Mm.
Uh, but that didn't happen because I got in a little trouble when I was younger, and that record got a little blemished.
Hmm.
So I was like, what am I going to do? And so while I was in school, I was gonna always want to be a pilot, right? I used to walk Top Gun's my joint.
Hey,
Right.
F-14 Tomcat, Tom Cruise is Iceman,
all
Maverick.
that. Yep.
And so, I went to the ROTC, at Old Dominion, and I was like, sign me up. I'm ready to go. And
Yeah.
so I started doing some papers, and they said, man, I'm sorry, you're medically disqualified because I have asthma. And I was like,
It's
dang, man.
always
So
some dumb shit like that. Yeah.
so yeah, so I just stuck on the route of becoming an engineer. It was a grind for sure. I didn't understand how to study. That was the
Hmm.
biggest thing. I figured it was like high school, just go in there and just like blah 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 the day of the test. Do what I have to do. But when you
Mm.
take calculus 3 or linear algebra or differential equations, you gotta know what you're doing and be on it. So I understood how to study, what study groups were, and
Dope.
definitely changed my work habits and buckled down and got it done. So
That's
it
No,
took me a little second, but I did it.
no, that's dope. So that's your background in engineering. So if we can jump into Stu Tech real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
mm.
Well, how did that come about? What's like what am I say, thesis? What's the mission statement for that company, and what are we doing here in Hampton Roads with that?
Yeah, yeah. So the mission statement of StewTech is, we're developers of personal electric vehicles for military and government use. So we make
Oh,
our personal transport vehicles for troops, for reconnaissance missions, and things of that nature. So that idea really stemmed from a side business that I had. So I was owner of Warp Speed scooters, right? So what we did, we were a dealer for other company scooters, and
right, right.
and that was just based off of metrics, like what was a good market to be into at that moment. So e-bikes, e-scooters, good profit margin, great price point, and yeah, and things were going great. But the thing that I had the most issue with was when we received our vehicles, from China. It was they, me being the engineer, had to take one apart, see what's going on inside of it, and I was just kind of almost horrified. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, there's no way that they're making a scooter that goes 45, 50 miles per hour, but not built with like some kind of safety standard.
Mm.
And I was like, well, let
Right,
me let me redevelop this, make it better, see if I could do it myself. And that's
right.
kind of how Stu Tech came about. We really built this from the ground up, from the conceptual drawing, from the analytics, to the CAD, everything integrated into this real robust vehicle that's able to do a bunch of different things. Carry equipment, carry troops, and have a lot of integration into like different sensors that can do different things. Can't go too deep into like in some of the details, but
Oh,
we're
that's
definitely an
fine.
advanced vehicle for personal transportation. Absolutely.
So is it like a AI tripod or is it like quad? Is it just a scooter? Like,
So right now it's a two-wheel platform, so similar to an electric scooter. Um, However, our systems are modular, so they could go from a two-wheel platform to a four-wheel platform, all the way to a personal watercraft platform. So
okay.
we're we're building everything from like all the internals, all the electrical drive systems, here in Hampton Roads. So, we developed
As
the battery pack, we developed the battery management system.
Nice.
Yep, yep. So, and that has, specific features that are able to, work in conjunction with the vehicle next to it. So,
as
pretty,
dope.
pretty cool stuff. Yeah.
So before we jump in to details that you can talk about,
Right.
I want to jump back to China real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, you ordered something, or did you send them specs, or I guess what's it called, blueprint, or I guess you made an order and they sent it to you, and it was just like cheap material, cheap.
Yes. So we were selling, our pre-made vehicles.
Mm.
So we had, off the shelf, their standardized, type of vehicle, and did more of a like a white labeling or a private label type
Oh,
deal.
okay.
And just the vehicles would probably work for about 6 to 8 months, maybe even a year. But after that, you had major issues. Crews were
Oh,
falling
wow.
off.
Mm,
Battery systems were made poorly, so the cause of
man,
thermal
trust.
runaway from
Oh,
the cells, going off
yeah.
possible. So I just couldn't believe it. I was like, these, and but our
China.
price mark. So our average scooter price was probably around 15 to $2,000. We even sold some for up to $6,000, right? So, these aren't your Lime scooters, your
Mm.
your
I was about to say
American.
that too, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah. These are
So
the big, fast, beefy ones. So, um,
military application.
yep,
Keep,
yep,
no, that's dope. So I mean, China will do it to you. China will do it to you if you
Gotta
let
do
them
it.
do it to you.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying? So you went back to the drawing board. You was like, China, get out of here. And now you said military application. So is it like MP, like military police out in other countries? I guess that's what you're marketing to, like for Century and things like that. You
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what I
so
mean?
so pretty much all of that. Anything that application fits in that need fits for that application, we're able to fill that gap. So whether it's a border patrol, whether it's MPs, any sort of patrols, we're able to have quick mobility and quick dispatch, from our vehicles.
Yeah, that's super dope. Yeah, when you gonna work on the Falcon wings? Yeah, working on those.
What's
We
You
that?
know what I'm
might
talking
have
about.
to.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know. What's that? What's that?
Captain America, bro. The wings. Captain
Oh man,
Falcon. Come on, get with it.
that's guy.
Yeah, no, that's super dope. That's crazy. Are these purchasable now to private, or is it just military and government at the
So,
moment?
so we're not open up to the more private citizens yet, but pretty soon we are talking about being able to do that eventually. Our vehicles, because they're made here, have a little bit higher price point, but
Right.
and they're built per military specs, so everything's real robust, meets all the standards that they need. Any sort of ambient condition uh, standard that needs to be met. However, you look at vehicles like the Humvee, how that was able to cross over to the Hummer, and people were able to purchase that. So yeah,
Yeah,
eventually we'll be able to buy one of those. Yep.
that'd be super dope.
I want.
Can't
I
see the
want to know like
races.
the process of like building the thing, right? Like I know it's not every day that you because I buy product already made, I sell it, right? Frank made
Yep.
a book
Yep.
one time, you sell it, right?
Yep.
Building a actual thing that does stuff,
Vehicular
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
vehicle.
Yeah.
Vehicle that talks to another vehicle that can
Yep.
have different modules, right? Think about talk about the engineering and the tinkering and the math and just like the sheer focus it takes just to stay on track on what you really need to get done.
Oh man, it's been crazy. Like I said, with somebody who doesn't have a 9 to 5, I've worked more than I've ever worked in my life. But
I can
yeah, the
imagine.
process really starts with understanding the concept and the need. And once you understand that, you're able to kind of go from there. And the way that I usually design things, I start with a sort of analytical hand calculations. So we have the
Mm.
vehicle that may weigh about X amount, and then it needs to go a specific speed, and needs to go a specific distance. And with those requirements, we're able to then understand the size of the motors that we need to integrate. We need to
Right.
understand like, the size of the battery pack, the amperage, that needs to be delivered to the motor controllers, stuff like that, and really kind of break it down into subsystems. And once you have that down, like the hand calculations and the drawings, then we are able to move to the CAD, like the computer design. So in there, it's a heavy design process. We start off with like simple geometry. Well, I mean, step back one word.
No problem.
So there's an industrial process, right? So there's
Right.
I'm not a design guy, but so we hire someone to give us like a sketch or a concept of how this should look, right? And we want something that's going to be robust, large, carry a lot of weight. And they kind of do like a
Hell yeah.
vision board, like a mood board,
Yeah.
and we come up with like different concepts, and we'll kind of down select on the one that fits the best for us. And once we've done that, then we could kind of transfer that to our CAD design. And from that CAD design, we do like a surface modeling. So
Hmm.
uh, it's just a thin surface, and are able to kind of manipulate that, and
This should sound fun
add
as
like
hell.
a yeah, add like a articulating dummy, something like that, to kind of see how a standard person would be able to fit on that vehicle. Once we go from that, then we start understanding what is our manufacturing process. Like what capabilities do we have? What can we, do that's doesn't have a lot of high overhead, and
Right.
really go from there. So that's kind of how our design came about because we wanted to do something that was within my skill set, and that's laser cutting, panel bending, like a lot of sheet metal, stuff like that, and more so staying away from things that require high overhead, like molds, like casting, extrusion, things of
Yeah.
that nature. So,
Okay.
um, so yeah,
Dang.
so once we understand the manufacturing process that we want, then we start, going through the design. And as we're doing that, intermittently, we'll probably do some FEA analysis, some finite element analysis, and that will just kind of determine like the structural strength of specific parts. If something happens to it, like impact force or it being dropped or anything of that nature. So we want to make sure that it's robust. It's going to stand up to those forces and not have any residual like strains on the body acting on itself. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, so after that, really kind of piecing things together, doing drawings that would then we would create like step files, STL files,
Mm.
and send those out to shops that will either CNC that or laser cut them. So that's
Yeah.
converting the digital file to a G code, and the G code just tells a machine like a 3 axis, 4 axis, 5 axis machine which
Yeah.
direction to go, how high, how fast, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the mechanical process. And then
Oh,
you have the electrical process, which we have a whole team of people helping us, great guys. Um, we have a software engineer, my buddy Sean. We got
uh,
electrical engineer, buddy Steve. And they kind of work hand in hand. And those guys are a lot smarter than me, and really talk about the integrated circuits and different things to put all
it's
this stuff together. So definitely a long process, hard process, but it's I think it's better, especially like now when we're pushing, made in America, make here, and
hell yeah.
we're one of the
Hmm.
Right.
very few people actually, doing this in the U.S., right? So
And that's
I'm
huge.
glad, I'm glad we were able to, I was like, if I'm doing something, I'm going to take it the hard way, right? That's how it's always been. I've never done anything easy.
Right. China already
Um,
screwed you. You know what I'm saying?
right?
And
Yeah,
most
for real.
what's crazy is most people over or outsource to other countries and you would get most of the time you probably would get back low quality or something lower than what you yourself would put out.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So then you did that, it happened to you, took matters into your own hands, and you went through a whole process. You went
Man,
I can't question nothing that you're talking about because like you
bro.
took us from beginning to end and like I really feel like you could build an Iron Man suit. You know what I'm saying? You got the team, you could build an Iron Man
Bro,
suit. You
the
just
focus was like that was just like pure laser focus, dog. Like to
yeah.
see the beginning from the end, and like, man, I be trying to brush my teeth and not look at my phone. Like I don't, thought about 40 different things, and but you just on track like that. That's kind of cool.
What
That's
that's
why I believe in it too. What's up?
yeah, that's how you really out here doing this,
Right.
building technology and building things. While you was talking, I had a question about patents and licensing. Like I
Okay.
guess
Yeah.
on the journey, did you stumble into any patent issues, either with your technology or licensing somebody else's tech and like having to deal with those type of hurdles? Or was everything 100% original and no issues?
Yeah, so the only thing that we haven't developed yet are the motor controllers. So, and we
Mhm.
are in the process of developing those, but we haven't had any
No
issues because,
middleman. Sorry.
sorry, say again?
No middleman.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Um, so as far as the system, so that's not included into the patent. That's something that someone would use too, and that's fine. But everything else, as far as our intellectual property, we went ahead are in the process of filing patents for that, and
Mhm.
haven't had any issues. So we've done patent research and kind of look at anything that's similar and make sure we're not infringing on any patents, and
Right.
we're definitely good to go and developing our own path. But it's funny that you speak about licensing because we currently acquired a license from NASA. And so we went through that process to, find so there's a tech transfer portal. And, we had our guys, do some research and they have technology that closely aligns with, what we're doing as far as,
Mhm.
power systems and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's integrated into our vehicles, into our systems. So this makes it one of a
Easy.
kind, the most robust vehicle that you're going to find in the U.S. So it's pretty cool stuff.
So, real quick, for those who may not know, so when you license, you're licensing tech from NASA, and is there like a fee or something you have to
Process
pay,
fee.
yeah,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
use
So
it?
there is if you're not new to the business, so there's like a startup process where if you're under a 2-year business and just starting off, then there's no fee. They waive it. But you know,
Mhm.
towards the end, if you start making momentum, then there's a royalty fees that you pay. And so
Right.
we took the research route, which is a initial fee, annual fee that you have to pay, and once we do get to the process to start selling, then there are royalties that we
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
pay
some.
to
R-
NASA. Yeah.
Right.
That's big business. That's a smart business. I ain't like NASA has plenty of patents people want to use and
Yep.
develop or ideas to add on to, and then to just let you use it like I said for a little fee, but then also get royalties on it. Ain't no telling who out there gonna tell you something they already got in motion and
Hmm.
20 times exit. They just been sitting on it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And
And
I bet it's good for y'all too because if there's a solution, you have a problem and there's a solution already out there, instead
Mhm.
of reinventing the wheel, you can just, grab it over here, utilize
mhm.
it in your thing and keep it moving. So I'm sure that saved you time, whatever that, particular concept was. I'm sure it's useful for you to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we don't want to, because we're a startup, we don't want to, bog ourselves down creating
Mhm.
every single item. Some things that we're going to buy off the shelf from other companies, like our brake calipers. We've been working with a company called Magura,
Mhm.
German company, make great brakes. I, highly recommend them. But yeah, stuff like that. It's not our interest to make every single part. Just like you'll see like like a Toyota or Chevy, they don't make all the parts, all their buttons and switches
Right,
and
right,
stuff that
right.
comes from different companies. So, yeah, we're following that same process.
No, that's dope. That's super dope. And then I like what you talk about the made in America. That's huge too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because depending where you stand, that there all these tariffs and all these things, there is a push to bring manufacturing back here. You know what I'm saying? I know it's probably not cheap, right? It probably would be cheaper for y'all to outsource and build your pieces in other countries and ship it back here. But
Hmm.
can you talk about, I guess the goal or the thinking behind making it American? Like, you want it to be made in America for a particular reason, or you just is that like
Standard, let's
what?
say.
Yeah, yeah.
Standard.
So honestly, it was more so of challenging ourselves and our
Mm,
capabilities to what we
mm,
could do. We like just buying something and selling it didn't sit right with me. It was like I want to say lazy because people make great livings off of that, but I'm like, hey man,
right.
I didn't go through school for, this many years to, learn all this stuff and, do all this, all these student loans for nothing. So I was like, I want to utilize what I've learned, and
Mhm.
grow a team and actually, see something come to fruition, right? It's about, I've always just wanted to develop something from the ground up. And, I do have a passion and want to, grow the workforce in skilled labor, here, in Hampton Roads, in the U.S. I do believe that, we have great manufacturing capabilities. We have great people, great workers, and yeah, I just want to kind of highlight that. And yeah, that's that passion behind it. We could have taken a very different route. Just hey,
Mhm.
you make this, you make that. Send it over here, then we'll ship it out. But
And
no, we want to.
that's what a lot of huge companies do too. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
there's plenty of Fortune 500 companies that they do everything outside of here.
yeah.
Even go to different countries for the cheapest version or the cheapest, parcel or whatever,
Hmm.
then ship it back, or even have it, manufactured out there and ship modules out. It can be cost effective, but at the same
Oh
time,
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
the quality, you can have quality issues like you ran into.
yeah.
Um, so, and then you didn't have any issues. So like, I mean, I don't know, the scooter, like I guess the scooter shape or the scooter design,
Hmm.
is there somebody that owns the patent for a scooter, or is that something that anybody can make a scooter
It,
and they won't have problems? You know what I
yeah, it's
mean?
one of those things that pretty much anyone can make.
Okay.
There's just certain variations to that will make it patentable, right? So we couldn't just we could have a design. So there's a difference between a design patent and a utility patent.
Mhm.
So the shape and the, how it folds, stuff like that, that's a design patent. So
Right.
we could file a patent just for that. But where the real, bread and butter is as the utility patent, like how it functions. And
Hmm.
so, of course, a two wheels and a stem is not going to be patentable, but everything that compromise, like, so it's like, you know, is can you not patent a car, right? Four wheels and a, you know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Is
So like,
yeah.
yeah, it's the how you build on top of that and just different variations of that base.
So you say it's got to be a unique to your design. Like it could be the same thing, but it has to be whatever you patent has to be totally unique, new, no one's ever heard of. Utility has to be unique. And from that point, you patent it, you're successful, that's yours.
Yep.
And then if there's future people that want to use it, they can license. What about the Tron bike? Y'all can make Tron bikes? I love
You know,
Tron.
I say we might,
Tron bike's probably patentable.
we might, but we do have some other, different types of vehicles in the works too. So, I wouldn't say not like a Tron bike, but definitely pretty cool. So,
No.
So one of my favorite tech innovations that's out there is 4D printing, right? I
yeah.
don't know if you know about it or not. 4D printing maybe.
Or is that when it's suspended in a solution and they
Yeah.
It changes, yeah, like or water, like when air hits like a sweater or something, it
mhm,
tightens up, or it restricts or whatever.
mhm.
It does something different. So I was maybe have
Like
you have you looked at what
like
it does?
phase changing,
Say again?
phase changing.
Kinda.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did
you
But
that.
the
you talked
material, it's
about
like a programmable material. And so
No, no,
I,
no.
uh,
So
you
like
call it 4D printing, but I think it's called something else. You know what I'm saying? Like you used to talk about it all the time, bro. You talk about this shit all the time.
that's
You
what I call
remember
it.
4D
Yeah.
printing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought 4D print. Oh yeah, you're right. I'm thinking 3D. I'm thinking never mind. 3D printing. Yeah, 4D
Yeah.
print.
Or like metal printing. Like have you heard about metal printing?
Yep, yep.
Is that something you would think about doing for your vehicles or?
It's funny that you say that because part of our business model is that we're full turn. So we do around 60% of our vehicles in house, and one of our capabilities that we are adding to the shop is additive manufacturing. So being able to 3D print parts. So it doesn't just align with our vehicle, but it aligns with our capabilities in how we work with government organizations. So yeah, that's definitely something that we want to get into for sure.
How useful do you think those things could be in the future? Because like every time I see one, I think about like a mechanic just being able to print up a hammer, right? Or
Yeah,
just be able to print out brakes or whatever they may need right there in shop, and they got to wait to go
yeah.
get it.
I
Mm,
mean, it was depends. So the strength is not going to be as good as if it was cast or
mm,
machined from a single block.
okay.
But, there's ways to integrate geometry to make it a little bit stronger. But yeah, you have different processes like laser sintering with the powders, or you have like the spool adding
Mm.
uh, uses like similar to like FDM printing. But no, I think it'll be very useful in the future, and there's definitely things that we're investigating to be involved in. Like I said, not just to make our vehicles, but to make other things for our customers, which is the United States government. So
Mm.
No, no, no. Um, AI. Have you guys? Oh, let me ask this first. Is there any worry with AI, particularly in your field, offsetting jobs? Like for even for concepts, like can you use AI to design a vehicle and like maybe perhaps replace an engineer or replace an electrical guy or replace, all these key pieces, all these key personnel that you use to design something? Is there a threat of AI taking those particular positions and even creating something brand new that no human can come up with? You know what I mean?
yeah, I think eventually, but I think right now. Probably not in the next 5 to maybe 10 years. We won't see AI, fully take over, those jobs. I think it's more so of a powerful tool, for people like like engineers and stuff like that to help them do their job more efficiently. So, and that the I think people have a little bit of misconception of AI right now because just because you ask it a question doesn't mean that the output's only as good as the input,
Mm.
right? And because if you have a specialized knowledge, you could that input could be more detailed and more focused on what you need to do, and you're able to like catch errors a lot faster or at all
Right.
compared to someone who's not. Um so yeah, so I mean, yeah, I definitely, we use AI, and it's a game changer. It helps a lot, especially if I'm doing any sort of mathematical calculations. But like I said, it's all about understanding how to prompt it correctly
Hmm.
and give it good inputs. Because if you don't, then the output's going to be trash.
I heard AI wasn't really that. I mean, I guess depending which AI you use, I heard AI wasn't really great with math yet. At least
So
ChatGPT is horrible with math.
yeah, Chad. Well, so we use like a integration, so like a Wolfram or MATLAB. Uh,
Okay,
have like AI integration. So programs that are specific to doing
math.
mathematical calculations. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Just you could ask ChatGPT 5 times 5, and it'll tell you 30, and
I'm
it'll
gonna
be
try it. No way, Frank.
no, no, no.
I'm gonna try
I've used it.
it.
Me and my wife, we'll test it and give it. I don't know what it is about Chat. Maybe, and this was weeks ago or months ago, so maybe they fixed it. But you can ask it mathematical questions,
Hmm.
and
Nothing that
it,
simple though, right?
all types. I promise you. You can ask it any type of math question, and it may get it right or it may get it wrong. It's almost like 50-50. And then you can
Hmm.
argue with it. If you tell it 5 times 5 is 10, it'll say, "Oh, my apologies. I'll, remember this," or "Thank you for correcting me." And I think that's probably what jacks it up. Like it tries to remember what humans are telling it, and then it might know the answer, but then it'll remember, "Oh, you told me this is." So maybe that's what it is. But I don't know. With math, anyway, with ChatGPT, it's hit or miss.
I
So
learned I
you
learned
can
the
test
first
it.
day I learned the first day in college. The computer's only as smart as the user. Is garbage
Hmm.
in, garbage out. So whatever it's been programmed to do is gonna do it. It's gonna do it well, trashy or
Absolutely.
not, right? It's gonna do it real well. Um, like so, do you see? I was thinking about China and their factories, right? They're fully automated factories.
Oh
Do you
yeah, yeah.
do you see like you being able to add value to that space? Because like they got factories running with no light, right?
Yeah, and
Darkness.
that's funny that you say that, because I was looking into it also, and it, we've ordered parts from China, and I've actually ordered got a quote for an assembled product versus an unassembled product. So one that uses labor and one that doesn't use labor. And the difference was minimum. So like, the labor is almost free in China. It's crazy. And
Hmm.
it it it's odd that they're replacing so many jobs that they've leveraged because of their low cost labor. So
Mm.
um, I don't know what they're going to do with all of with the rest of the people, but
Yeah.
And
uh,
China got a lot of people too. They
China
got
has a lot of people.
they have the most, aren't they the country with the highest population on the planet? Like,
Either that or
Uh,
India.
I think India might be it.
I think
okay.
India
They're,
might.
we're the top two, easy.
Oh yeah, they're close. Yeah, like
Yeah.
1.3 billion, 2 billion. Yeah, it's a lot of people. A lot of- They
Yeah,
have
that's
a
great.
billion more people than us.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they taking all they've been taking all our jobs and they taking their own jobs.
Oh
Man,
They,
man.
you know what I'm saying?
but that's
Yeah.
that's what's gonna happen here, right? Like when factories here get fully automated, just like so they
Mm.
already got cars, with the robot arms, but just
Mhm.
imagine you don't need a human to put the steering wheel on now or to do anything else, right? Or just less humans,
Just
right? So
push the
let's say,
button. Somebody
yeah,
push the
Yeah.
button, push the stop.
you got 500 people now and they only got 65 people working later, like that's a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's coming too, and it's funny because early in my career, I was talking to one of my buddies, a software engineer, about this idea that we had. I was like, this is probably about 8 years ago, and I was like, hey, we should become a company that is like a consultant for like fast food restaurants, and we'll develop their chain, like their food making chain
Hmm.
and in like integrate robotics into that. So specifically like mundane task, maybe like flipping a burger. In that
Yeah.
process, we'll add like a robotic arm and kind of reduce that labor cost.
Hmm.
And I think if you reduce that labor by maybe 70%, you can still redevelop them and have them become, you know, technicians, have them become like, more like skillful
Tech
jobs. So,
savvy. Yeah.
yeah, so it's like, you're not just getting rid of them, but you're trying like, you're retraining them and, allowing them to become, up to date on, different trends and changes,
That's a different way of looking at it.
yeah.
But but when you put it that way, it's almost a double-edged sword because you think about how this generation, we don't know how to do things from days of past, right?
Yeah.
We
Okay.
don't know how to farm. We don't know how to cook our own, grow our own food. We
Mhm.
don't know how to make our own clothes. Those things were outsourced to machines, farmers, in the industry. We don't art, they don't write cursive today. There's a lot of things that our generation we learned when we were younger that this next generation coming up don't have a clue about. They don't know how rotary phones
Care
work. They
about
don't know how dial up. They're just not, and it's not that necessarily that they need to.
Yeah.
It's just they were never exposed to it. Now
it.
with this stuff happening now, with the technology happening now, let's like what you're saying, we're taking we're eliminating the requirement for personnel or humans to do laborers jobs, right?
Mhm.
Okay, and now we move on to just being techs, right? Let's say in the future, the lowest paying job is no longer fast food worker, it's a technician
Okay.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now we don't know how to make food anymore. We don't know how to serve. We don't know how to do all these things. And we're advancing, but we're becoming dumber at the same time. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
we're not passing on knowledge and simple, you call it simple mundane tasks, but
Mhm.
future generations won't know how to do half the shit that we do today.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And if
Yep.
there's ever like an EMP attack or we lose electricity, we go back to the Stone Ages and nobody knows how to do any of that shit.
Yeah, and,
You know what I'm saying?
and
So,
it's funny. It's funny you say that. And I think that I guess I'm a proponent in believing that there was civilizations prior to the cavemen and stuff like that that actually had knowledge and that was lost. Maybe there's like different
mhm.
types of periods where large portions of knowledge was lost and
Yeah.
we had to kind of relearn and rebuild. And yeah, that's I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So we'll be like 10, 20 years from now, kids, they have a robot make their lunch and breakfast
Yeah.
and let's say one day the robot stops working. They don't know how to do it. They don't know how to make pancakes or
Hey,
flip
hey,
eggs or do
bro,
none of that shit.
I got a 3 and a 5 year old. I was like, they want a pet, and I was like, bro, by the time they get 17, they're gonna have as a companion, an assistant to be doing stuff, carrying
Mm.
books, riding bike with they, but I'm
Washing
talking
their
about just
drawers.
doing, helping with their homework, right? Like just doing all kinds of just. But people our age or not, or us or older, I don't even want that thing in my house. You know what I mean? Like, but they're gonna be so. welcome
It'll be
to.
normal. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be. They're gonna so take.
Don't you think? Don't you think it's going to free up a lot of time though to, maybe spark creativity in like different aspects? Maybe
That's
art,
that's the
maybe.
conversation me and Frank had about what if you had time to do whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
Frank,
Hmm.
we were talking about like,
If you didn't have to work a nine to
yeah,
five to pay bills to survive, you all your free time was leisure, and
Hmm.
you can make art, make music, make films, build robots. You do whatever you wanted to do that made you happy. Wake up, do what makes you happy, go to sleep, and do all that. That would be super dope existence. You know what I'm saying? But um, I think that's something to strive for. Like if all these mundane, busy things are taken away from us. But again, does that make us smarter and more efficient, or does that make us dumber? I don't know. I feel like nowadays, especially with with the food and things, a lot
hmm
more people probably wish that they knew how to grow their own food as opposed to going to the
leave
store
some lettuce.
and buying poison, and all these things, processed food and all that. Now we're almost going back to like, yo, we need to know how to do this stuff because we need to know how to survive and live. We put all this power into corporations. They're abusing that power, obviously. So now we got to go back. So who knows? 10, 20 years from now, we got these robots, assistants, and doing all these things. People are going to be like, yo, I'm tired. I want to do this shit myself. I want to make my own breakfast. Get this robot out of here. I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing the future. Maybe I'm blackpilling. I don't know.
But do you think that if, so I think that a lot of people right now don't do things like grow their own food because they're so, ingrained in their 9 to 5, right? So
True.
maybe if they didn't have a 9 to 5, they have more time to, learn how to grow food. I mean, Google would be super easy to have access to, have your
Yeah.
little robot helper and, plant a garden. So, you
hmm
know,
Yeah, society is who knows humans the way we are, we do something, we want to make a change, we do it, then we get bored with that, and then we got to do the next thing. So
yeah.
we're fickle, we can never be satisfied.
Man,
This could just be societal change.
Yeah.
Like I said, we moved away from learning how to grow food, and now we're trying to slowly move back, and it's the cycle of I need to know how to do this,
it's
I don't know
funny.
how to do
That
nothing.
that thought just made me think about iRobot when they got all them damn robots inside the fucking containers. And it's like you
Chilling,
said,
yeah.
humans are fickle. So like that robot wasn't good enough. Although you made a billion of them. But
Right,
now, although you didn't destroy them, you just left them in a goddamn container. And now you got a billion more,
coming.
regular robots running around. Like that sounds like some human. That sounds like a human experience.
Yeah, that's what we
Yeah.
do. Cars. We replace our cars every few years, our phones every
Man,
few years. It's just human nature.
Yeah,
It is what it
like you
is.
say, human nature. One thing about humans, we're always growing, always wanting to, explore and develop. And I mean, I don't know if that's driven by capital or is driven by curiosity. So if we're not getting paid to, create these newer things, like, do we have the drive to do that?
mhm.
So
That's a good question.
That was my pushback. That was my pushback.
That,
Like
yeah, that was. I remember.
that was my
Yeah.
pushback. That was just like if everything you needed was already there for you, there's very little drive to be KFC, right? To be Colonel Sanders, to be Ford, right? To be Elon, whoever, right? Like they ain't no oomph to get out of bed and say, let me go do something that the robot ain't done.
But but I think what it takes, there's people who cut from different cloth. You know what I'm saying? Like there's people who are not like you and I who don't want to do that extra. But I always think there's always going to be that person who always like has a drive, a curiosity. Like
Hmm.
stuff that I do, I'll do it for free. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
there's things that drive us, to a certain extent that we would do, just because we like it.
Without
So
no incentive, no monetary incentive. I
yeah.
know what I would do. I love reading, and I'd probably be making music. You know what I'm saying? If I didn't have any real responsibilities like that, I'd be chilling. Yeah, don't look to me to advance humanity because I'll be chilling. At least making music, I can entertain you with some music or something.
Man,
You know what I mean? But
it's be all kinds of music, friend. Everybody can make music. Everybody can
not
make.
everybody is very. And that's the other thing too. Not everybody does is interested in the same things. Like there's different cliques and groups
Fair
of
enough.
people, tribes. Like there's the music people, there's the sports people, there's the art people, there's the engineer people. Like I think everybody would kind of like fall into their own clique,
Wait.
and everybody would have a contribution to the world. And taking out the money incentives, you know what I'm saying? You take out abuse, you take out corruption, you take out people doing things that they don't like to do to survive, right? So if
Yeah.
you don't need to work for money, you don't need to work at a fast food joint, you won't. But the people that like serving and making food, that's them. They'll be there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think this is more of a harmonious way to look at things if we were
Mhm.
allowed to live that way.
Yeah.
But we're on Earth.
Allowed to live free on the rock flying through space, man.
Right. We're on Earth paying for food that the Earth gives us and all these things. Um, so it is what it is. But we're taking it all over the place. This is kind of how we do when we talk about things. We
Yeah.
go left, right, we go everywhere.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
but no,
Yeah.
this is super dope conversation. Let's see. Oh, before we go, so we have a couple
Yeah.
things. What is something you're trying to figure out now? So in the beginning, we asked you, what is your figuring shit out moment? Now, what is something that you're trying to figure out? Maybe you're struggling with, or maybe you need help with, or something something you're trying to overcome at the moment. Could be
Yeah,
anything.
well, I, I would say probably our biggest, figuring things out right now is more so speaking to more of our customer. We got into this because we did have a network there, and
Hmm.
are able to speak with people in our customer base. But really just kind of marketing ourselves to this. It's not standard marketing, right? So it's
Right.
being able to build relationships, able to understand the language, and yeah, that's probably the biggest our biggest challenge because I'm not a marketing person, even though I'm trying to take off my engineering hat, put on my entrepreneur hat, my business hat, and be that salesman. The thing that I didn't want to
Mm.
be, you have to be when you're running your own company. So
Absolutely.
Facts.
yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, just solidifying that target customer and really opening that door so we could get that product out in the hands of people who need them. So.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
government is marketing to government, and DoD
Right.
is its own beast.
Right.
Yeah.
In some aspects, it's easy. They have programs that make it easy. And
Mhm.
others, if you don't know nobody, you're not getting nowhere. You got to have a connection. You got to have it in. If you come off the street trying to sell to DOD or government agency or whatever, they look at you like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? You got to know somebody. So no,
Okay.
that's a
But
bar.
if you get in, if you get
Hmm.
in,
You
you're
good.
good. It works out most of the times.
Oh yeah, that's facts. All right. So where can people reach you? Give us your socials, give us your website, give us your contact info. And then
Yeah.
if there's any way somebody could reach you to ask you more questions about your product, or if you're hiring help or any kind of thing like that, let us know what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can reach us at stewtechinc.com. That's STEWTECHINC.com. That's our website. Check us out. Or you can reach my personal Instagram where, I'm always building, I'm always tinkering, kind of like showing the building process, of our
Hmm.
vehicles. So that's Johnny Mnemonic. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie with Keanu Reeves.
Yep.
One
It's a
of
classic.
my favorite movies, Johnny Mnemonic.
Yep.
Instagram. So that's me. And yeah, it's just that's more of a personal level, and not as business focused. But yeah, that's how you can reach us out. Give us a call. We're always
Dope.
looking for good people, top talent, software designers, electrical designers.
We got
But
cyber jobs.
this
We need a
and
cyber guy.
cyber, absolutely, communications
Yep.
for unmanned vehicle enablers. Yeah.
Dope. All right.
Yeah, look for us. We're in here,
Dope, man.
trying to do
Appreciate
it,
it.
sir.
You have any closing remarks,
No,
King?
I'm good, man. This
Yeah.
was fun. I appreciate it. It's interesting. Like I like talking to techies, man, because this is where the world is going.
Hmm.
Don't unify thrive, man, because this man is clearly out there doing the Lord's work. Trying to keep us safe. You know what I'm talking about? So
Hell
now this is
yeah.
really good conversation.
Now this though, I
Appreciate
can see you build an Iron Man suit soon, or at least the Falcon wings. Do something. Do one of those.
it.
Let me test it
Let me.
out. Put
Yeah.
me in
Well, I
there.
Yeah,
don't know. I
I
won't
got you.
test, but I'll buy one.
I got you.
All right, bro. Well, thank you so much. We'll catch you. We'll let you know when this comes out. We'll cut clips. We'll tag you and all those things. And we're a little ahead, so you probably got like maybe five episodes before this one comes out. So maybe like 5 weeks.
Cool,
But
cool.
we'll let you know. But thank you so
All right,
much,
man.
man. We appreciate
I
it.
appreciate it, man. It was a great conversation, man.
Definitely.
Appreciate y'all's time.
No problem.
Absolutely.
Thank
Have a nice
you.
one, brother.
All right, take it easy. All
All
right, bye.
right.